Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Live Reality Games podcast. You are here for the post-Rapture recap, episode 4 of Golden Gates Season 2. I am your host, someone who does not go by Daddy Longlegs, but I think I do pretty well in the Weight Watchers competition. My name is Gible. Thank you for joining us. I am here joined by someone who did a doubleheader, along with tonight's doubleheader of podcasts, and took double duty of the competition hosting this week. It is, of course, Archie Angel, Jason Porter. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's been strange trying to get this podcast set up, but we're here, and that's what matters.
This is a big one. This is my favorite episode of the season so far, so definitely excited to talk about it.
Absolutely. And of course, we could not talk about episode 4 without the fourth person eliminated from the Golden Gates. If you have not watched yet, click away. I'm going to bring her up on stage, or them. I kind of spoiled it. But it, of course, is the Plube Goobens queen herself, maybe the queen of crash outs too. It is, of course, Rachel. How are you doing?
Oh, we are living the best life that we possibly can after watching that mess unfold, for sure.
You certainly had a very memorable 4-episode run, maybe a longer one, but we'll get to that later. What has it been like? I mean, you lived through it. You got to experience it with all these people. And there's so much that goes on that doesn't get seen. What has it been like reliving this experience for you?
I knew that watching it specifically and reliving it again was going to be hard because every single emotion that was felt from that entire episode was real, was authentic. So I knew that getting to watch it again in a more sane headspace was going to be a little difficult because, like, I'm somebody who, like, when I have an experience or emotions that I didn't really like, I don't really want to put myself back in it. But honestly, the way that Golden Gates is and the way that it's so camp and so fun and just capitalizing on that kind of helped my mindset going into watching it to be a little more like, oh yeah, this happened, but it's TV, it's good TV.
Absolutely. I think we've certainly got a lot of TV from you and from this amazing cast so far. Thanks to the help of Jason editing this episodes together. Let's try and take it back. We'll get to episode 4 because I know a lot of people are going to have a lot of questions and a lot of information about episode 4. But let's take it back to episode 1. What was your sort of initial reaction to seeing who was on the cast? I mean, you are someone who has a lot of connections to the community. You run the Largies, as I think it's been nicknamed during this podcast. But what are some of the people that you were excited to see? Was there anyone that you were like, oh wow, I have to play with them?
Definitely a good mix of both. It's kind of funny on the flight down there because I was living in Orlando at the time. German was on my flight and he literally popped up in front of me on the seat and looked at me and I was like, what the hell are you doing in Ohio? What? Because I had absolutely no idea that he was playing. And we had lunch together at the airport. So going back to episode, I'll bring that up again when we go to episode 4 because he was somebody I knew that I had my back, but definitely had a lot of connections within the Ascendant circle with Julia, German, Hot Girl Chris, myself. Some people I didn't know, I didn't know Noah. I didn't really know Maddie. I didn't know Beck. I feel like it was a good mix of people who I did know and did play with before and who didn't, but nobody that necessarily wronged me that I want to seek revenge on, which was good. But I mean, looking at the cast as a whole, I thought I had a pretty decent shot because of the connections that I had. But the format is made in a way that connections could help you or could hurt you, and you never know until the moment. So clearly that's what happened with me.
Yeah. So you're telling me that you took, what would that be, a 3-hour flight from Orlando to Columbus, and you didn't sit next to German on it? You didn't even try and switch seats and pregame the whole time?
I had absolutely no idea. I was still in shock. I was like, what are you doing here? How did he find me? This is so weird. And I hung out with him, Julia, and Mike back in November, and this was filmed in March. So I'm like, oh wait, this is so weird seeing all of y'all here. So it was a gag. It really was.
I think I'll have to ask him what his reactions were like, because this is great information. This is why we do the behind the scenes podcast. You said that there were some people you didn't have connections with. Tell us. It seemed like in the first episode you were really pushing for Grace to be the replacement or the drag down for that episode. Can you tell us why that was where you stood at that point?
It really was more so trying to preserve the people that I knew 100% had my back so that they wouldn't be talked about as an option. I feel like that's the best way to put it, because obviously I'm not like, it seemed like I was going to push Grace to do her, but it wasn't necessarily like I want Grace gone. It's I want the people who I know have better connections to not be the name. And I mean, you never know what could happen when somebody you don't know has this power to drag, and somebody who kind of comes from a different kind of circle than I do. Like Noah came from like more of like the Caucus Challenge type thing before I was even involved in there, and I had like my friend group. So I was like, I'm trying to protect them more so than trying to throw Grace out. And I also didn't want it to be me. And I think in these games specifically, what I've learned is like, if I need to keep myself safe, I have to throw a name, because like I'm not somebody who's going to go out and throw names, but I'm not somebody who's like, well, if not you, then who? Like, I'm going to obviously say a name. And I think that's might have been what Grace's downfall could have been, that she didn't throw a name necessarily. So I didn't want to fall into that kind of pocket of, oh, well, we don't know what Rachel would do. Like, let's just throw her in. So I think that taking that step forward necessarily kept me as somebody who people knew where their head was at, necessarily, not necessarily like me trying to get Grace out. But the edit is the edit, and I just wanted to save my ass. So
So you mentioned like not knowing where people are necessarily, and it seemed like you were taken aback in episode 2 when Logan started to go after you as one of his targets. It seemed like you thought you had a great connection. Can you tell us why you were so surprised about Logan wanting you gone that episode?
I feel like if it's so early in the game that if you're having this target super early on is like, whoa, like where did that come from? I guess it was a matter of time that he wanted to target me, but I don't understand why, because we had like stood by each other in the past few comps, like been just chit-chatting, and I thought we had a lot going on, a lot in common, but apparently
you both like movies.
It's okay for him to like movies with everybody else but me. Like him and Julia talked about movies and she didn't land on the block. So like weird, but I was shocked. I wasn't as shocked that I would have been put up, but I was shocked watching it now that I was the target, because like I don't think I rubbed anyone the wrong way. Like I don't know, it was really weird. But
one of my absolute favorite moments in the whole season is his diary room where he says, I have a target and it's Rachel, and it immediately cuts to him talking to you, and he's like, I don't really have a target.
I got duped. You duped me. Like, there you go. Gosh, that was crazy. Like, it was just felt so early on in the game that even like with all of the people he put up in the pits, we were all looking at each other like, who does this kid think he is? Like, what? This is really random.
So you get sent down to the pits with Trish and German, which we know you are friends with German. If you had to vote here, do you save German or do you save Trish?
I saved German, 100%.
Good to know. Good to know. But what was your reaction? Because I'm sure you were very familiar with the what's in the box challenge, or the whatever what's in the box. I got it right. Were you excited to play this game? Were you worried? Because we know you weren't excited to play the a different game later on.
Well, I was excited to play it because it's like kind of an iconic challenge. But I was nervous because I looked at my competition and I know these people are good game players. So I know their lying skills are probably really good, and mine are definitely are not up to par with that. But it was fun. I'm really shocked that I pulled off what I pulled off. It was a really interesting type challenge where I didn't realize I could read German as well as I did, because I knew that man was telling the truth. He cannot tell a lie like that. And then same with Trish, because she kept like, she was describing the ornament and then she kept like looking up. And I was like, oh, she's thinking of what it looks like in her head, whereas she could look down and look at it. So I was like, I'm gonna clock that T. And then I went balls to the walls on the last one. Like at one point, I feel like I started laughing, and I was like, when I was naming the colors, I thought they were gonna be like, "Oh, she's lying," and I was just like, I don't know. And then they still flipped it around, and I was like, no way.
I love that you list different colors every time they ask, and then it doesn't register to them that your story's not straight.
I was shook. I was like, the only way I'm gonna win this is if I lie. Otherwise, it's gonna be a tie, and I don't want to deal with that. So I was like, we'll see. And then it worked.
Did you have anyone in mind that you wanted to drag down if you had gotten the drag power?
I feel like I would have done somebody else, but I did entertain the idea of Mike to Trish at the table. German shut it down, but I was like, that's kind of an idea that you should probably do if you want to stay, just because I felt like he was in the similar position of Grace, of like not knowing where he stood and like not having a name to throw out. But in hindsight, if I really had to sit down and think about it, I would have probably dragged. What's the plural of passive drug?
Yeah, dragged.
I would have pulled Maddie into the pits probably, just because we had a really unsettling conversation outside, and I should have clocked that sooner.
Unsettling conversation. Did he show up to Orlando and like stalk you?
Yeah, I was like, this guy, I don't know what he's thinking right now, but like, I kept being like, why do I keep getting put up? And he's just like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, you're not really helping me. So I feel like I would have done that because I would have felt bad doing Mike, but both of them were on my radar that I probably would have dragged.
Yeah. Well, I think you and Mike had a lot in common. I guess you didn't see it at the time when in person, but your exits were very similar, I think. Okay. So in episode 3, we get that you are not that close with Ty, which is not great because Ty wins a lot. But did you, as soon as Ty wins, are you expecting to go up again just as a pawn?
Yes and no. I'm expecting the conversation that I have with him to be hard, but I didn't expect it to result in that. I feel like I've definitely voiced, I was like, give other people a chance, like pick somebody else to go in that's not me, because that's boring, that's stupid. Like if you want to actually build a relationship with me, keep me upstairs so we can build that, because if I go back up on the pits, I'm going to try and win and I'm going to end up going downstairs, and it is what it is. So watching back the conversations though, I'm like, and I was talking to Ty about this too, I was like, Julia was in the pits or in the gates the past few rounds, didn't really have a relationship with you that much, but she was safe. Same with Ben. Like you hadn't had a conversation with Ben, but it's okay. Like you're okay with them, but what about me? Like, what about my aura makes you say, I don't want to work with you? Like, I don't understand. And I still kind of don't understand, but I just think it was a bitch ass move to put me back. Like that's boring. Come on.
I know I'm going out of order, but Rachel, I'd like to think that you're a very opinionated person, as
sure am.
So is Jason and John and all that. But what are your thoughts on Trish's honest game mantra? I'm sure it'll come up later in the series. But
I don't think it kind of ruled her out for me, to be honest. Like every time I had a conversation with her, it's I'm playing an honest game and I'm saving Noah. So that was her. That was all she was in the game to me, was just those were her two things. She back against the wall. I'm saving Noah every time and I'm playing an honest game. And I was like, okay, I don't really have much wiggle room with you there. But I don't think it's not going to take you very far if that's all you're going to do. Like, I get it, playing an honest game, especially at the beginning, but like, girl, things are always changing. And because you promised somebody something, that might not be what is happening. So, I mean, we'll get there. But if she had flipped and done something else, then things would have been different. But standing out in your ground in an honest game is not how I would play.
I think maybe the strategy for the future is, if you want to go in and you want to do well in Golden Gates, be very upfront. Say, I'm going to play a lying game and I'm going to keep you in.
Exactly. I mean, respect on my part. Keep a wild card in. Like,
that's what Danny
maybe
did.
that's what got her on the pits. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So it's interesting, and again, this is kind of spoiling, but you said that you don't like memory comps, but you kind of blowed Logan and John out of the water in this episode. What was, what is the difference in the 3:30 a.m. trying to do reading off a teleprompter, which I would think is a lot harder than what has to happen later?
Yeah, Bernadette Bush.
Yeah, Bernadette Bush. I mean, looking at my reaction to me winning, I think we can all tell that I did not expect to do it. But in hindsight, like I read teleprompters all the time in film school. Like I am, for the past 4 years of my life, was scrolling on teleprompters, reading teleprompters, try not to fuck up the words. So maybe that better than like repeated patterns. But I really had to pull some stuff out of my ass. I mean, I didn't remember my name, so I had to look down at it. So I was tired, and definitely did not expect to win that. I really thought, because John came down and John was like, I flopped. And I was like, okay, he probably did. And then Logan came down all confident, being like, oh, I just crushed that. And I was like, well, there goes me. Like, I probably got like 4 and John probably got 2 and Logan probably got 7. So then when the scores were being revealed and like John got the worst, which like, duh. Second worst, it was like 5. And I was like, oh, that's me. Like, good night, guys. Like, it's it. And then I was like, no way. I did not expect to get 7. Like, that was a gag for me. But I would definitely see that I would be better at that kind of memory than like the dumb animals. And like, I'll get into my history with animals and colors and allergies. So,
well, what's it? I'm sure Jason could attest to this more than me, but it sounds like you frazzled Kyle in that you weren't actually supposed to look down and see your name, but they changed the rules after you did it.
Well, no, it was our fault because we're supposed to give them the card so they can look at their name like once and then give it back to us so that they have to say it in the beginning and then remember it at the end. But whoever went first, I don't remember who it was.
It was me.
We forgot to take the card back because we were setting everything up. And so, it's running through it. And then she gets to the last one and looks down at her card. And we're like, oh, shit. So then we were like, well, now we have to give the card to the other 2 people as well. So then, yeah, first and last point were basically freebies at that point. But next season, we're taking the cards.
No more Bernadette Bush.
No more.
One and only.
Although, to be fair, it helped. I think I made that one way too hard this year, so it helped inflate the scores a bit because John would have gotten 1 if he didn't have the. I mean, he probably would have gotten the first name, but if he didn't remember the last
That's
name,
so funny.
There were a lot of things to memorize in that. I was overwhelmed in a viewer, and it was not 3:30 a.m.
Yeah, the time was getting. John fell asleep before he even had to go up and do his challenge. We're like, John, wake up! It's your turn.
Well, and you don't see this in the edit, but we actually let them watch it twice, once together, and then to make it fair, they get to watch it one more time right before they go. So it's like a 2-minute script, and then you have to do it. So it actually takes a lot longer than it seems.
That's why when I was first, I was like, thank God, like, get it over with.
Yeah. Am I wrong? I might have this written wrong in my notes, but in episode 3, does Julia say that you're her only ally? Or did I make that up? No, I might be making that.
She definitely, I think she might have said something about her knowing that like she feels good with me.
Yeah. Sorry. So episode 4, this is where I can now start including Jason in the conversation. Actually, let me ask. So how what was your relationship like with John and seeing him go home? What was that like for your game?
Indifferent. I mean, I had a feeling that he was going to put me up week 1. Just like I was hoping that Hot Girl Chris would win over him, or even Logan and Mike, because I thought I had a relationship with Logan, but clown me. But he didn't, and I really don't know, because then I went down to the gates the next round, so I had no idea. I didn't really have a working relationship with him, but the fact that he had other people on his radar made me feel like I wouldn't have been in the line of fire. But hearing that it was a blind side, I was like, oh, like, these people are coming to play, and you never know who could be going there. That kind of instilled in me, like, if I go back on the pits, I need to win, or else they could pull that type of shit on me.
Yeah. It seems that in episode 4, you are kind of aware that you're this house target.
For what? Literally for what? I breathe.
Well, did you see? Because this is really the episode where we start seeing all these factions open up. And I think, of course, it's after the overnight where you get more time to chat. So what was that overnight like for you? And were you able to clock all these different alliances that were being made?
We went to bed. Honestly, me, Trish, Hot Girl Chris, Ty, and people who were raptured, we went the fuck to bed. And apparently people started to clock me and Hot Girl Chris because we slept in the same bed, which is so stupid. Like, we just wanted company in the room. Like, okay. But I tried to mend relationships. And I think I did mend my relationship with Ty and Trish, and obviously Hot Girl Chris and I were like this. So I think being down there overnight and even in the morning, like, we had more time to talk in the morning because they were all strategizing. We were just hanging out. So I think that definitely repaired that relationship. And that's the one thing about going into the gates. I think specifically the round before with Logan, like, him and I got to reconnect, and he was no longer going for me when we did Sky Space, and we literally sat next to each other and we're just like, whatever happens, happens. But it really depends on the drag and who wins and who goes up and who, like, all that kind of stuff. So I think being down there overnight, I got my little sky space cameo, which was fun. But I definitely, for a fact, thought that I missed out on a lot of strategy. And that's why I wanted to win Holy Hell News, but also I would have been okay if I didn't, because then I would have had time to make alliances and it would have saved me going forward.
So are you saying that, so you and Hot Girl Chris were really close? So you're saying that you beat Ben and Koa to the whole showmance thing?
Pretty much. I mean, we were the OG duo. There's unseen clips of me sitting at the table when I was put in the pits the first week, literally like this. And he's like, look at me. Remember who you are. Lock in. You're going to win that challenge. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to win. I'm such a flop. And he's like, go do it. And then I walk in and I'm like, I did it. I think I won.
Jason, can you release those just for us?
I don't think we've got them, but I'll look.
It happened. And then there's like me laying on the floor the next round. I'm like, I'm such a failure. He's like, lock in.
HGC is a great hype man.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So we get to the Weight Watchers competition. So Jason, can you talk us through how the game had sort of evolved? Because this was one that I don't think anyone did particularly well in season 1, except for Charlie, of course, because Charlie's good at everything. But how did you sort of evolve the game, and what was sort of the thought process when you were designing this?
Well, so I remember when Kyle and I came up with the concept for season 1, we were really proud of it because we had never really like seen a comp like that done in a live game. And I kind of make fun of it in my script. I think that in episode 1, it's a cool concept, but it was just kind of boring to watch because it's just like person goes into a room, person goes to a room, person goes to a room. So this season, we were like, okay, how can we take that concept but make it more entertaining? And knowing that this would be the first round that I was hosting myself, I wanted to like camp it up to the max. So we were like, what if we like make it a knockout challenge? Because again, we like doing knockout challenges earlier to force people to expose their cards, right? So this is already our second knockout in the season. And then, just like, what if we made it wrestler themed and basically let them choose their own names? I can add a bunch of like wrestler music and effects and explosions to make it really like fun to watch. So of everything, this was one we just kind of wanted to put a lot of like fun into. But then you can also have more items, and people have watched season 1. So hopefully they'll know not to undershoot it as much as everyone did last season. So.
Yeah. I think all the undershooting happens in episode 5, but don't worry. Yeah, I mean, you go up against Danny, who I think might be the Weight Watchers GOAT in your second round, and it's just kind of cooked from there. You do put up, I think, or no, yeah, did you put up Maddie and German to go against each other after you won?
I think I did.
Yeah.
I was trying to get my allies there.
You were trying to get German out? What?
No, I was trying to get him to win so I could get him to beat him because I knew Maddie wasn't going to do good. He didn't do good in the last one.
Well, you know how you could get German to win? If you don't put him out.
I will say, when I was re-editing that, because I didn't know who was really working with who in the moment during filming, but a lot of people were putting up like their allies for the next round, and I didn't know if they were trying to just hide that they were working with those people, but a lot of people kept putting up like I think Noah put up Logan, who at that point was like one of his closest allies. So I didn't really understand why people were doing that. But
in my brain, my slow brain, I was like, it'll just guarantee them to go to the next round because I know that like they've won before, so maybe they can win again. But in hindsight, I mean, leaving them to the end, but then you could never know who you could get stuck with. So there was a lot of moving parts, and when I lost, I was like, well, I don't fucking care anymore. But I did beat Beck, so that made me feel good, especially after what happens.
Oh yeah, you were in the background.
Was there anyone you were particularly? I mean, so hold on, let me just double check my notes. Yeah, German wins Omni. You can assume that you're safe, I'm sure. And he does joke about you going up, which is only ironic because it happens later.
Right.
I'm sure Jason gets a kick anytime there's any foreshadowing.
This episode has a lot of great storytelling. Like, I'm like, just the way things happen, it's crazy.
Yeah. I'll tell Rachel you tricked me, because in your opening confessionals, I just want to play hard and I always get cut right before the end. So I'm like, okay, maybe like 6th place.
I'm telling you right now, it's always 6th place. I'm gonna get a 6 tattooed on my wrist because I literally just got back from a game a week ago when I got 6th place. It was a bunch of minis. My average placement for all the minis is 6th place. I'm so over it. Give me a win.
What size would you say these minis were? Were they pretty big?
Pretty big.
Pretty big minis.
Big minis.
Massive minis. Big.
Were you concerned, like, did you, going into the safety trial, were you concerned about HGC? I mean, you could probably guess HGC wouldn't, but Koa or Logan dragging you down?
More so Noah, I think, out of all of them, just because me and Logan kind of already rekindled that, and I knew HGC, I was one of the only allies that he had at the time, clearly. But I didn't think that Noah would actually do that, because I felt like it was still early in the game. Like, if you're the way he was acting towards me, it kind of seemed like I want to work with you, but up until a point. And I think in my brain, I expected that point to be like final 10, final 9, rather than final like 13. So I don't know. And then in hindsight, like the reason why he did it, I guess it makes sense, but also I think it's dumb because like I didn't say anything malicious. Like I said in the episode, I was like, I didn't like throw you under the bus. I was more so just saying like, this is what was said and it's me being honest and playing an honest game, if you will. But but yeah, I have more to get into that too, because Ben also is on my shit list for that whole thing too.
I'll tell you, I give you, in my notes, I say you made a really smart move, and you're literally threatening your vote when Koa mentions that he wants to drag you.
I stomped back down there because that's when I said it, because at first he was like, I'm thinking of dragging you. And I was like, well, that's dumb, blah, blah, blah. And then I go out back into the kitchen and I'm telling everybody what he told me. And I was like, I'm not the only one he said that to. And Ben was like, yeah, he told me that too, that like he was going after Hawkgirl Chris. Like he told me that too. And I was like, Ben, go tell him that he told you that because he thinks he's just hearing it from me. And Ben was like, I'm not going to do that. So I stopped back down there. I said, Ben won't admit it, but you told it to him too. So if you put me up, I'm not saving you. But if you keep me in limbo, I will save you. Like standing on business. That's what I did. And
which is a good threat because it's not just one less vote for him, but it's one more vote for somebody else. And if you're voting, if you and HGC are voting for each other, like that's pretty big. It's 2 more votes that are not on him, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like that's all I could do at the time. Like if he's really going to be set on dragging me, I'm like, well, I'm not saving you. So like, that's one less vote for you. And then the whole fight thing happens. And I say it in my episode too. Like if I knew, because I was told by everybody, like, they're going to duke it out. Just relax. Like people are not going to want to reward that behavior. So they're going to vote to save you. So just keep your cool. And I was like, I am keeping my cool. Like that's what I did. But if I knew I had to fight, I would have fight. And I would have done the exact same thing Hawkgirl Chris did. And I would have piped my ass in there.
Oh, a second fight in one episode would have been crazy.
Right. I was going to say like, y'all come on. And that's what I tried to start it when they pulled everybody into the room.
Might not be people rewarding that behavior. It might just be person, but yeah. Well, so I'm just curious, was there talk of were people aware that Ben and Koa were sort of having this flirtmance throughout the series, or was that under wraps for a while?
It was under wraps until we were waiting to like get started on a challenge or something. And we're like, where are they? Where are they? And then they're going in, they're sitting by the pool. We're like, guys, let's go. But like, nobody really thought of anything of it. We were just like, oh, there they are going on their little date. And then it was just that, but it wasn't really like strategy in my mind anyway.
Can you talk about when you figured out that Beck was doing all of this planning to try and get you out? And do you think there was anything that Beck, like any conversation or any reason that Beck would specifically do this to you? Or do you think you were just a byproduct?
I found out for a fact that it was her after I was eliminated. I couldn't figure out exactly who. I knew it was more so Beck than Maddie at the time because like I had not seen Maddie like at all during that strategy, but it was like 5-ish minutes maybe to Rapture, and Beck is pulling people into the big master bedroom. The 3 of us are sitting in the pits, like they don't want to talk to us, everybody in the cast is in that room, like deciding our fate. And that's when I knew. I was like, oh, like she's trying to pull some shit. But I was like, I think I'll be fine, because at that time I had a conversation with Noah and Trish, and they were like, we're going to get Huck or Chris out. Like, we're going to save you. And Trish was like, I'm playing an honest game, but I'm still going to save Noah, because I thought she did the whole goddamn game. But I was like, I can't argue with that at that point. But Noah was like, I'll save you, because he felt bad dragging me after the fight with Huck or Chris. He's like, I don't want to keep Huck or Chris in. And I was like, okay, so you're saving me. Huck or Chris is obviously going to save me. Like, that's 2 votes. I really just need 1 or 2 more. And Julia told me many times that I was with her, and I swear I may be wrong, but I thought Ty also was going to save me. But then apparently he promised his vote to Noah, because everyone and their mother did that. So
I think one of the most fascinating things about it is, like, this was, in my opinion, singularly Maddie's move, but he was able to do it and pin it on Beck, basically, because I couldn't even believe we had footage of it. So when I found it, I was so excited. Mm-hmm. But we have the footage of, Maddie going up to Beck and saying, should we keep these 2 because they're fighting? And Beck's first response is like, no, Noah's way too, or HGC is way too mad. We shouldn't. So, like, she never would have done that unless he had sort of like lit the spark and then was like, okay, now you have good sway with everybody, go do it. And then for some reason, she really, really did.
Which was crazy to me. Like, I mean, she's right in the terms of the fact that I wasn't like in her group or in her core or whatever. And that I was just a number for her, which hurtful. I'm more than just a number. But I've given her so much shit lately. She's given me so much shit lately. Literally, when episode 5 was airing, I texted her. I said, I want to scream at you right now. 2 seconds later, she's calling me on the phone, like trying to explain herself. So I'm not shocked that it was her. I was gagged when it was Maddie, though, because at one point, like, we talked and he was like, it was actually me. But that shocked me. But once again, like I said, and even in episode 5, when we can get there, I'm like, y'all decided to listen. So that's on y'all.
Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts about episode 4 and sort of the events that went down that we haven't got onto yet?
Yeah, I mean, I want to touch on like why I was so upset in the voting booth. Because it seemed like I was just chilling and I was like, fine. But then they were like, it's time to vote. That's when everyone came out the room. Nobody would look me in the eyes. I looked at Ben, I looked at Ty, I looked at Julie, and I was like, am I fine? And they were just like, I don't know. And I was like, oh shit, like they had to have made a deal to keep each other in. So I was convinced that HGC and Noah were saving each other at this point and not saving me, and that I was getting 0. And that's why I started to freak out on the stairs. And it was like Noah, then me, then HGC, then Julia or something. And I think, and I kind of fault myself for this, I think I spooked Julia into thinking I was going home, which is why she was less confident in saving me, because I literally looked at her. I was like, you need to save me. These 2 have a deal. And that's why she was like, oh my God, there's nothing I can do to save Rachel, because if they made a deal, she's getting 0 votes anyway. So I think that was my doing. And that's so clowny of me. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what she meant when she said if they made a deal. So that's good context, because whatever that happened, I don't think we had it on film or anything. So
yeah. That was it. That was why. And
oof.
sealing my own fate on the stairs, which is why I was so upset. And that's why she said there's nothing I could do, because she's like, if they made a deal, Rachel would getting 0 votes anyway. So
well, and that vote, I mean, it really does come down to her, because she doesn't want to vote you out. The vote is basically in her hands at that point, but she doesn't know that. Again, like, that's why I love this episode so much. It's like a Greek tragedy, like from you feeling so safe, German winning, all the way to it coming down to 1 vote, someone who doesn't want you to leave, but doesn't think they have the power. Like, I think Julia was actually the first person to vote in the sequence. But when I saw that segment, I was like, oh, we have to put this at the end to show how much power she had, and like how it was too good to pass up.
So yeah, it's good, too good of TV that like maybe some of it was my doing, but also like I'm frazzled right now. I'm crying. I can't even think straight. Like, don't listen to anything I'm saying. I could be very much wrong. And I literally just said I think they made a deal. So yes, in hindsight, maybe I spooked her into thinking that there was nothing she could do to save me, but she still did it, and that still sucked.
If only we knew that the votes were anonymous.
I know the votes are always anonymous. Come on, people.
No one told us that.
Kind of the theme of the season.
It is.
Jason, do you have any other fun behind the scenes stuff that we missed from episode 4? Or it seems like you really had a joy editing it.
Oh yeah, I think this is the best episode of any live reality game that I've ever like had a hand in. The storytelling of how it goes from beginning to end is just top tier. And that's not me patting myself on the back. That's like the events that occurred and that this cast presented to us. It's just it was insane. I don't even think I realized that it had all happened until we were going through the footage and seeing how crazy the sequence of events had to be to result in this outcome, right? Like, you know, Rachel isn't even dragged unless Noah hears that one thing that she had said, which we also had footage of, but doesn't want her to go either. And then HGC is going to go home no matter what, except Ben gives him the ammunition to get into a fight. And then because of that, Maddie gets the idea, but they still don't have the votes, but he sends Beck to do the dirty work. And then Julia getting confused. Like, there are so many perfect things that need to happen for this to result in Rachel going. And the fact that it happened is insane. And that we were able to document it all and get it all sequentially so it makes sense. Just a monster.
Because realistically, it shouldn't have happened. Like, that's not the way the trajectory of the season was supposed to go. And that's what was so frustrating about it.
Yeah.
Like, no, please, why?
All right, I'm going to tell the viewers here, take a pause. If you haven't watched episode 5, we're going to talk about episode 5. Rachel's involved in it somehow. I won't tell you. So if you haven't watched it yet, click away now. This is your chance. If you have, you can stay here. And I feel like I've given you enough time to click away. We're going to talk about episode 5. We get to see, I think, the extended version of your exit here, which I think was like, I really enjoyed how it was handled, especially by Hot Girl Chris, and people trying to support you despite not necessarily supporting you with their votes. Yeah, I mean, we kind of touched upon it. Is there, I mean, what was your, I guess I can't say what was your reaction. We got to see it.
You do. And I touched on this a little bit in the bonus clip that was at the end of episode 5. But going into this game after having a rough year last year, in the community, in real life, like having to reach that point of mental exhaustion and capacity in the last game I had played before this, and having to ask to be voted out, which is something I never thought I would ever want to do. I know myself, and I know that I hold a lot of pressure to myself. And that's kind of how I felt coming into Golden Gate specifically. My first game of the year, I was like, I want a new slate. I want people to see me in this new light. I want to see what I can do when I am at my best. And then it felt like I just was never given a chance in this game. I felt like people didn't want to give me the chance to get to know me, which is why they kept putting me up and kept putting me up. And I was like, why me? Like, what did I do? Am I rubbing people the wrong way? Am I looking at people wrong? Is my presence just unwanted? Like, all those things, because of the way my brain works, that was all flooding into my brain. And that's why I started to, after getting kicked down and kicked down and kicked down, I was like, this sucks. Like, my time is coming sooner than it should. And that's kind of freaked me out a little. And I had never been blindsided in a game before in my entire life. Like, I always knew where the votes were. I always knew when I was going. I still would cry about it because I'm a crier, but like, I knew that that's what was happening. So to go out like this was insane. And to have people, especially a cast of a lot of people who I thought were my friends, like, do this to me. I didn't think, like I said, I didn't think I deserved it as a person, like, to not be given a heads up. I feel like Beck didn't get the chance to know me as a person and decided to just do this because I was just a number to her. And that's kind of how I felt the whole weekend, is that I was just this number for people rather than a human. And that's why I took it as hard as I did. And it was just a lot of emotion, pent up emotion and frustration of the past few rounds of just keep getting put up and kicked down, you know? So I took it hard, but it was definitely all real emotions. And I know I'm dramatic, and everyone who watches me knows I cry in every game, but this one does not compare to any of the other ones, dramatic wise. Like, I was not well.
Yeah. Well, what was it like having all those emotions, and then I'm guessing around 10 minutes later having to do the memory competition?
I said I wasn't winning memory. Like, if I was happy and perky and living my best life. And that means when I'm depressed and miserable, there was no way I was winning memory. So I knew I was cooked. I didn't even want to do a battle back. I was like, fuck this. Like, I'm over it. I almost was going to leave the property. I had to have people convince me not to. But I was like, this is my chance. And I have to lock in as best I could. But then when I found out that John had an advantage, oh, I was pissed. I was big pissed. I was like, are you kidding me? And I threw a tantrum. It was crazy. But I was like, no fucking way. Of course I'm going to lose this. Had it been any other challenge, though, give me endurance, give me skill. Like, that's it. It's over. I'm winning. But no, of course. It was animals and it was memory. And if you know anything about animals and me, season 4 of Ascendance, I didn't realize how to do a challenge. I couldn't spell rhinoceros. I couldn't remember it. And I couldn't remember how to do the challenge. And I got my best friend sent home. Shout out to Taylor Clark. Sorry about that.
Well, I don't think, nowadays getting Taylor Clark is probably a good thing for your resume.
Right. I said, all right, you know what? I did that on purpose.
Yeah. That's all I got. I don't want to dive too deep into episode 5 because we do have very special guests coming on very soon to discuss episode 5. Jason, do you have any other thoughts on episode 4, Rachel's run, or anything you want to put in there?
I just want to reiterate once again that this is one of the craziest episodes ever, and I want to thank Rachel for being such a good sport about it, especially post game, because it's sometimes hard to reconcile, like when production, you get really, really excited about, how dramatic things are and like, oh, this is such great TV. And I have to remind myself sometimes that like, these are real people with real emotions. And I don't want you to think that, oh, I'm so happy that you are having this sort of crash out on TV or anything. But in all of our group chats and everything, Rachel has really, I think, been an amazing sport, but B, really like kind of embraced Golden Gates in general. She's our Plube Goobins queen. And I guess that's the one last thing I wanted to say is that when I first finished the episode, I felt like it ended on such a sad note that I was like, I feel like the audience is going to be crushed for Rachel. What can we do to give like a moment of levity? So I was just like, hey, if I mail you something, can you record your reaction? She was like, oh yeah, sure. And that was all genuine.
On my wall.
Didn't tell her that it was going to be that, but I knew that she would have a good reaction. So I thought that was a nice little bookend to a very emotional episode.
I know it's on YouTube forever.
That's
fine. It's fine. It's good TV. If you want, I mean, if I ever get on a show, I'll be like, you want to see me crash out on youtube.com? Here's the link.
Do you have the Plube Goobins with you?
Huh?
Do you have the Plube Goobins with you?
Yeah, I have it right here on my wall.
There you go. Do you have any thoughts, any last things you'd like to share with us, Rachel, about your experience?
I mean, I'm endlessly grateful for this production team for kind of making my experience better than it could have been. Like I said, I had never gone out that early in a game before. I've never gotten blindsided before, but I mean, this might not be the last you see of Rachel McKenna, and that's all that matters. Got a lot more in store, but I really am grateful for this game. I wanted to apply because of production value, and as somebody who does editing for LRGs and does production myself, I admire work that Jason and crew put into it. So I'm like, I want to be part of that. And I'm really glad I did. The format is crazy. And I also want to make it clear that if Danny was not in the gates, they would have saved me as well. So it really was getting format screwed. It was just unfortunate how it did. And I mean, as somebody who puts a lot of pressure on myself, like I said, like placement doesn't define you. However, placement defines me sometimes. So we're still working on that aspect. I want to remind everybody, if you flop once, it doesn't mean you're going to flop again, because I ended up playing 4 other live games this year. So stay tuned for that. Don't get discouraged if you flop like me. And if you want to talk about flopping, you know who to hit up. But you might see more of me. You never know.
Do you have any more? Do you have any upcoming projects or social medias you want to shout out?
I'm currently editing Outlast Season 4. Doing very well. Ascendance has a few more episodes. I've been editing that. But check me out in the Caucus Challenge. Check me out in Surviving Bloomington. Check me out in Survivor Angelica. And those are my 3 ones that are coming up if you want to watch me on YouTube anymore. But yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah. Jason, do you have anything? You know, I mean, we obviously got Golden Gates. We got another podcast coming up in 10 minutes.
Yeah, just keep watching the season. Like Rachel said, you maybe haven't seen the last of her, and we have lots of fun things happening with the rest of the season.
All right. I'm Gible. Follow my social medias at Duck7Man. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to see more of these exit interviews. We got another one in 10 minutes if you're watching this live. If you're not watching it live, go and watch it anyways. I'll make a playlist for you. It'll be in the description.
I would plug my social medias, but I don't have any because the Facebook gods keep taking them down.
It happens. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a blast, and I will see you all later. Have a good one.
Bye.